OpenAI announced its new voice assistant about a month ago, and it has still not been released. So I decided I'm going to make my own voice assistant using Python and OpenAI's API. Today I'm going to show you guys how you can do it yourself. To get started, open a new project in Visual Studio Code and open the terminal by clicking Ctrl plus backtick. Then run this command in your terminal to install the required libraries. I'm going to leave the command in the description so you can copy and paste it. Now make two new files, main.py and .env. Now that we have the necessary libraries installed, we can import them into our project. We're using pyttx3 for our assistant's voice because we don't want to get in trouble with Scarlett Johansson's legal team. We haven't created any environment variables yet, but we will still load them in for when we add them to .env later. After that, I'm going to initialize the speech recognizer and microphone, as well as a global variable called listener thread, which we'll be using later. Next, I'm going to initialize the OpenAI client. In the documentation, it says that you only need the organization and project IDs because they're moving away from using API keys, but for some reason, it would give me errors without an API key, so I just included it as well. To get all of these keys, go to the OpenAI developer dashboard and click the settings button. Then click organization to find the organization ID and save it somewhere for now. If you don't have a project already, make one. Then click project and copy the project ID as well. To get the API key, click dashboard, then API key. Then click create new secret key. Name it whatever you'd like and copy it. Save all of these in your .env file and then go back to main.py and load them in like this. Now I'm going to make the speak function which will make our assistant talk. This function initializes the speech engine, then selects which voice to use as well as how fast to make the assistant talk. It takes in a text parameter which it gives to the speech engine to say out loud. You can customize stuff in this function if you would like. Change the voices index to 1 if you want a female voice, and change the rate number to lower if you want a slower voice, or higher if you want a faster voice. Now that we have our speak function set up, we need to create a callback function which will be responsible for identifying when we say the wake word. A wake word is basically what causes our assistant to start listening to our question. Kind of like how with Siri, the wake word is Siri or Hey Siri. To keep it simple, I'm just going to make the wake word Hey Bot. We're going to put all of the code into a try except block in case of any errors with speech recognition. And we're also going to pass in a recognizer and our audio into the function. Now let's take the audio that's passed into the function and turn it into text and store it inside of a variable. Let's also print this text as well so we can see that our audio is being recognized properly. Then we can make an if statement which detects if our wake word is in the extracted text. If it is, we'll make the assistant say, "How can I help you?" Then go to another function which will take our question and ask ChatGPT for an answer. We're going to make that function next. Now it's time for the main function, which is only called after the wake word has been said. This function will take our question and send it to ChatGPT. Start by making a try except block again. Then we make the microphone listen for a response. Also create a variable called data, which will later hold the text extracted from our audio. In the try block, convert the audio into text in a similar way to how we did in the callback function. Now, I want to create two different cases. One case which ends the program when the user says bye, and another case which sends the user's question to ChatGPT. You can add more cases if you want, very easily, but just to keep it simple, I'm only going to use two cases for this code. To keep the code neat, I'm going to make a separate function to make the API call to OpenAI's API, and I'm going to pass in the user's question into the function. And I also add this line to keep the program running. To get a response from ChatGPT, it's really easy. I basically just copy the code snippet on OpenAI's documentation and change a few things. So you start by writing this. Then in the messages array, you can pass in an array of previous messages each time so the voice assistant remembers your previous messages. But to keep it simple, I'm going to avoid that and just do it like this. I'm going to create an initial message from the system that sets up the assistant's behavior. I want the assistant to provide short answers to avoid any yapping, so I'll provide it with this instruction. You can change this to anything you want. Then we add another message which includes what the user actually said. Next, we get the content of the response to our question from ChatGPT, and we pass it into the speak function so we can hear our assistant's response. Now we're very close to being done. All we have left is to create the function that starts the keyword listener. Declare listener thread as a global variable. Then I'll check if the thread is already running, and if it is, then I'll wait to let it finish. Then I'll print this out to let the user know what to say to start the program. Next, create a new thread to listen for keywords in the background. After that, just start the listener thread and that's it for this function. To finish this code, all we need to do is write the following. Now it's time to test our program. Open up the terminal again and write python main.py to start the program. Hey bot. Hey bot.
How can I help you?
What is the closest planet to the sun?
The closest planet to the Sun is Mercury.